and today I'm going to be reading Beyond the Isle of the Lost, Wonderland. Today I'm reading from page 1 to page 10. Hope you enjoy. Chapter 1, Seeing Red. The sun was bright and dazzling in the sky, and the Queen's castle towered, grand and beautiful, with its neat symmetrical turrets, bathed in its signature red glow. The castle grounds sparkled like rubies and rustled with the excitement of everyone on the garden party. Not a sign like that, Red imagined, was the exact opposite of the dazzled array that was unfolding before her. She crossed her studded boots at the ankle, sashing in one of the little wrought iron chairs in the corner of the garden, twirling a finger round her wavy hair, which was, as you might have guessed, red. Red was wearing her signature red and black leather jacket and matching red and black striped leather pants. Black fingerless gloves and a fishnet tank top complete the look. After all, she wasn't the daughter of the Queen of Hearts for nothing. Yes, that Queen of Hearts. The red-gloved, scarlet-wearing, beautifully scary off with her head queen, whose ball gowns often resembled blood-red roses. Where was the Queen? Red's mother always made a particular show of enjoying today's type of gathering, but she wasn't anywhere near the event, and this just wasn't Red's cup of tea. The event wasn't really supposed to be anyone's cup of tea, so to speak, for it was not a party they were having in the garden, but an party. What is an party, you might ask? Well, it's simple. A party where nobody does anything party-like. There should be gifts such as intricately wrapped packages and glittering bows stuck high on the right iron table, but no one opens them. Red hardly bothered to look at the presents, knowing they would only be thrown away at the event's end. There should be refreshments, and Red had to consist that the castle chefs had delivered hoping tables high with frosted tarts, cheese pies, a cake with 5 tiers, and a veritable champagne tower of delight glasses that sparkled with summer punch. But no one ate. In fact, some whispered that the food was poisoned, so it was never eaten. Scoops of ice cream melted softly into their delight china bowls. What garden party would be complete without games for guests to enjoy? But games for an party included standing in place for as long as you could and sleeping until someone woke you up rudely. You know, all the crowd's favorite. And in a very fitting fashion for this very unparty-like party, Red was the guest of highest honor and therefore having the least amount of fun. She sat at one end of the table, pretending to participate in a game of stack teacups on top of each other, but in reality, she was playing see how long you can stand the unparty while people watching out of the corner of her eye. Red's fellow party-goers were all residents of Wonderland, royal subjects with neat, ordinary schedules and futures in the same readable line of work, soldier cards in the Queen's army, or nobility in her court. They were gathered to celebrate their birthday, for none of them had a real one. Birthdays were illegal for all, after all, so the Queen had declared. Everyone gathered wore shades of red that were so washed out they were almost gray. The partygoers weren't like those other children Red had heard of in far-off lands like Oregon, who grew up singing and laughing and running around willy-nilly. Like little white rabbits here, her childhood meant regimented days and nights being quiet at meal times and only playing between the hours of 2 and 4 p.m. Solitaire was the pastime of choice. But they had gotten used to it. Red supposed smirking. She had too. Red had been raised like them, though she would not become a soldier car like they would. Red's birthright was to rule Wonderland next to her mother. Her future and her destiny seemed to be locked up, and now with the approaching ceremony her mother had arranged, it felt like her royal responsibilities had kicked into overdrive. She knew what was expected of her, but that wasn't what she wanted for herself. What she wanted was to be a little naughty, to have a little bit of fun, and so she would been sneaking out at night, taking things she wasn't supposed to touch, all to defy her mother, and if she was being super honest, get her attention. Red shifted in her chair, sitting one teacup on top of another for the emptieth time. She caught the eye of a boy in a grey top hat who had been holding the same pose with a hedgehog in his hands for nearly an hour. He looked annoyed that she was not sitting more still, but Red couldn't help it. The unparty was as dull as she expected, and every time she thought of ruling the kingdom, she grew restless. Unlimited power, uncontested rules, these were things everyone wanted, at least according to the Queen of Hearts. But were they what Red wanted? She wasn't sure. Sometimes she tried to picture herself as her mother throwing dishes at the wall every time she got angry and outlawing whatever odd thing she felt like on a given day. She never much liked the thought. A stiff breeze blew on of the opposite from the very top of the pile and sent it splashing into the nearby koi pond. Good heavens, cried a girl in a birchen polka dot jumper, regaining her composure before continuing her game of moving a chair to one side of the pond and then back again. Another girl clicked her tongue and resumed counting blades of grass. Red rolled her eyes. Then a much louder sound sent ripples through the garden, the blasting of incoming trumpets all at once. The teenagers' eyes grew wide with nervousness, and they halted their ungame, shifting from one foot to another. For when the Queen came to call, you paid attention. Red wasn't always completely thrilled by her mother's interruption, but the unparty was very bit as dull as it was designed to be, so she was grateful for a chance of pace. She stood with the others, tossing her teacup aside and turning toward the entrance of the opening in the hedge as the Queen of Hearts made her appearance. Chapter 2. The Red Queen Herself. The Queen cleared her throat. She was a beautiful woman, with arched eyebrows and a withered stare. She was wearing an ornate red ball gown with askins of black, white, and, of course, hearts. Her ruby crown sat high on her head, her elegant blonde red hair as straight and neat as velvet curtains. Round her neck was a necklace with a shimmering ruby pendant, and the staff collar of her dress flitted gracefully above her shoulders, so that it looked like she was accomplished by a heart. She was a furious and glamorous sight to behold. But Red thought it was most impressive how her mother didn't even have to raise her voice to indicate the depth of her wrath. The Queen clapped and cleared her throat. Her voice was melodious but cold. People of Wonderland, may I have your attention, please? The garden had already been quiet enough to hear a pin drop, and everyone in it had their eyes trained on the Queen, from the boy in the great top hat to the girl by the pool, to the many soldier carts and frog butlers who were doing everything they could, that is to say nothing, to make the unparty uninteresting. But it was typical for Red's mother to not quite see her subjects clearly, much less empathetic with them. Everyone did their best to focus their attention even harder. The Queen smiled at her subjects. Assigned. Red, how are you, dear? She called, seeing her daughter. Having a nice time? Not really, Red said, shrugging. The Queen of Hearts smiled and nodded. That's good. Must you wear so much leather? She said, making a door face at Red's outfit. It makes you look like a troublemaker. Red felt her cheeks get hot, but no one dared look at her. The Queen continued without apology. Now, it has come to my attention that we are severely lacking several laws that will benefit each and every one of us. As your ruler, I'm sorry to have neglected those important areas of improvement for so long. They simply cannot wait until the next royal decree. If the people of Wonderland haven't been carefully trained, Red knew a groan might have sounded through the garden. Even so, she thought she noticed one of the green frog butlers twitch with annoyance, before falling still again. The soldier cart next to the Queen perceived a scroll of parchment and unfolded it for Red's mother to read. He wore the same uniform they all did, a red helmet with a heart on the front and red and black leather armor with a sword at its side. The little diamond on his right breastplate marked his card number. This one was 9. You all know, of course, that birthdays are illegal, the Queen began. Who needs them? Every year with the silly surprises and unruly running around, it's all very tedious. Everyone nodded and murmured in agreement, like they were supposed to. Every year we present a table full of desserts to show how creditable they can be. She eyed the table of desserts sourly. The purpose of its present was to remind the subjects of what they didn't need, as well as to test and strengthen their will. Red knew that it was also a trap. If anyone was caught touching the sweets, they would be severely punished. Red thought it was rather clever in a way, if a bit sadistic. Oh, the Queen said, visibly shaking, is that a cupcake? The crowning glory of the dessert table was a tower of pink flamingo feather cupcakes. Red turned on the royal baker, who was quivering in their boots. Ma'am, your Majesty, I'm so sorry. I found an old recipe of yours. Get her out of my sight, the Queen hissed. Then she patted her brow with a red handkerchief. Red wondered what that was all about. She had never seen her mother fall apart at the sight of a cupcake before. Then again, she realized she had never really seen a cupcake before either. She wondered what they tasted like, but perhaps she would never know, since the baker was taking a tray of them away. The Queen clapped again, back to looking like herself. So, birthdays are still illegal. Treats are discouraged, especially cupcakes. What's more, all laughter should be avoided before noon. It simply is not good for your heart to laugh too early. Perhaps it's better not to laugh at all. This absolutely means that jokes shall only be told every other Saturday if one feels the oblivious need. But from her tone it was clear that no one should ever feel the need to tell a joke. The Queen waved her hand, and the soldier carts let the scroll refrail with a snap. That is all, she said. You're welcome. All the party-goers and castle staff bowed low with chorus of thank you, your highness, and yes, your majesty. The Queen smiled brilliantly and nodded, soaking it all in. Then something caught in the corner of Red's eye. There was a younger boy near the dessert table, one she would seen staring wide-eyed at the treat earlier that afternoon. He was taking advantage of the Queen's distraction to stuff 2 and then 3 strawberry tarts into the pockets of his checkered pants. He looked terrified, but very determined. Red smirked, delighted by this little thief. But like all things in Wonderland, misbehavior doesn't go unpunished. You, The Queen's voice slipped through the crowd. Red wasn't sure how her mother had seen the child from her vantage point, but all at once everyone was staring at the dessert table. Color drained from his face. The boy dropped the sweets and froze. "What did I say?" The Queen of Hearts punctured every word by smacking her hands together, looking unbelievably expected with the whole situation. Sophie?" the boy squeaked. His mouth was full of tarts. "Take it away. Take it all away," the Queen commanded. "Him too. I want him out of my sight." One of the soldiers' carts scooped up the boy and carried him away through a crowd of the hedge maze. Other children might have kicked and protested, but the boy accepted the consequences of his actions, and his subconscious fate hanging limp in the guard's arms. Alright guys, so that is Beyond the Isle of the Lost, Wonderland. We read page 1 to 10, and then on our next one, well, you guys will just have to come back again and see. But for now, this is 1 to 10. I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you have noticed any hints, if you guys have seen the Descendants movie, The Rise of Red, but haven't read this book, you should go check it out. Alright guys, sorry about that. But as I was saying, I hope you guys enjoyed this little read. And also, if you guys have seen, like I said, The Descendants, The Rise of Red film, and you have caught some like hints to the movie or stuff like that, or little Easter eggs, and what I have read so far, let me know. But I'll see you guys all next time.